recording. I'll let you, thank you. So welcome to next workshop on our series on Git and GitHub. Today we're going to be finishing up some work that we started yesterday in Git Basics. And we're going to be doing some hands-on. So the very first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing Git on our computers. Some people already have Git, and if you do, that's just fine. That's terrific, actually. But if not, we'll go through the steps of how to install. If something goes wrong, and for some people, something goes wrong, it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. It's okay if you can't install. Simply watch. Remember, this is going to be recorded. You'll be able to watch the recording later and get with one of your TAs if you're in a group with TAs, or just troubleshoot and get it installed. And then you can do this later on today. So we'll be going through all the steps, so you should be able to see everything that we're doing. So we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to install Git altogether. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a repo. Then we are going to be doing some editing locally, and we're going to do a push. And then we're going to be doing some editing up here, and we're going to do a pull. And we're going to talk about, we're going to make sure that we go through a full cycle that we talked about, that merry-go-round cycle. We're going to go through a full one of those. Then we're going to talk about what can go wrong. What can go wrong when you have lots of people doing this all at the same time? Because maybe you're editing the Readme, and then somebody else is editing the Readme. What can go wrong and how? And then what's the process that you can follow to solve this? So we're going to be ending with that. I wanted to point out that we're adding 2 additional workshops for you all, if you are interested, on Friday. One of them, and we'll be sending out information about this right at the in Slack right at the end. But one of them is going to be about is going to give you some more hands-on practice, what we're going to be talking about today. And the second one is going to be more hands-on practice, for what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about Python and Jupyter notebooks. The first few workshops we've had in this series have been like, anybody, no matter what your background, okay. Thursdays is going to be more like, hey, if you already know Python, and if you're already working in Jupyter notebooks, then this one's for you. So we needed to put that one early because we have a bunch of people doing research right now that are using Python notebooks. So this is like one that for folks who've had a lot more experience. So if you've not used Jupyter notebooks, if you're not using, Python right now, don't worry about it. You can attend if you want to. Don't worry about it. We'll have the recording for you so you can try it out again a little bit later after you've taken the Python class in a couple of weeks. So just wanted to point that out right now for those of you that would sort of expect that Thursday workshop to make sense right away. Let me ask you, how many people have installed Git already on their machines? Okay. All right, so a few folks. Okay, great. So give me a thumbs up, virtual thumbs up. All right. So maybe a little bit less than half. That's great. Hang out. We're gonna go ahead and install Git both on Windows and on Mac. It'll take us a few minutes, and then we're going to go through how to use the command line Git, and we're going to try a few things out. So first of all, let me send you the link on installing Git. So recall that we have a couple of different pieces here, right? We have GitHub, which is primarily sitting up here on the web. And then locally, we have Git. Git can actually work with things other than GitHub. It sounds like they have to go together, but they don't. Git's meant to be local. So Git is used by a lot of different tools, but Git is local. It's something you have to install on your local machine. So where do you get it from? You get it from here. I just put the link in there. So it's git-scm.com. And I think that stands for Source Control Management. Is that right, Charo? I don't know. I just use it. So it's git-scm.com. And then there's the specific instructions are right here on getting started installing Git. Let me go and share my screen, and we will go through and start installing. And while I'm doing this, any questions so far? All right. Rearrange things just a little bit here. Okay. So give me a quick thumbs up if you followed the link and if you're seeing this on your screen right now. Give me a quick virtual thumbs up.
Hey, I'm on the GitHub site to install right now.
Oh yeah, actually go here, because remember GitHub's a little bit different. So go to this one right here that I put in the chat. So git-scm.
Oh God, yeah. I gotta go.
Yeah, and that'll take you just a moment to get there. Don't worry, we're not gonna rush ahead. So look in the chat, and you'll see it there. Okay. Give me a red X if you're not able to get here. Excellent. All right, no red X's. Okay. You can install Git on Linux, on Mac OS, on Windows. We're going to start with Windows, and then Dr. Bell is going to show you how to install on Mac OS. So to install on Windows, the official build, it's also at Git SCM. And so here's the website to actually install direct. You can click on that and let's see where it goes. When you click on this one here under installing Windows, it takes you here. Give a quick thumbs up once you're here and looking at downloading Git. So quick thumbs up, okay. Give a red X. Give a no if you're not there. All right. Okay, then this link right up here where it says the most recent maintained build right here. This is one that we want to get to. So go and click on this and you should see the following. Okay, quick thumbs up once you see this. Okay, and a red X, a red no if you're not here for some reason. Excellent. Let's go and click on download then. And it's going to do this. You're going to see this, if it's Windows, you're going to see this down here. It's going to read git 2.32.0-64.exe. I've already downloaded a couple of times. That's why mine says 2, but yours shouldn't say that. Let's go and click on it. And then it should say opening. And then you should get that permission screen where it says, you know, allow this. So give me a thumbs up if you're seeing this one right here. Okay, thumbs up. Excellent. Give me a red X if you're not seeing this. Fantastic. All right. And remember, if you tumble off the train, no problem. It's all being recorded and you'll be able to follow along a little bit later. Let's go ahead and say next. I'm just going to, I frankly don't know what all of these options are. I'm going to simply trust that the default ones are the right ones. So I'm just doing next. And okay, now here you can choose your editor. Go with the default for right now. That's something that you can change later. I happen to change mine to Notepad++. I'm a little bit different. Just go with the default for right now. We'll talk about Notepad++ at some point. We like it, but just for right now, go with the default. We do next. We are going to go with next here, override default branch. Just go with next. Here, this is the recommended one, so we're going to go with it. Next. Default, we're going to go with it. Next. checkout, go with default. Min TTY, the default terminal. We're going to go with that. See why I go with defaults? Because others just way too many decisions to make. Going to stick with default of fast forward, default. Git Credential Manager Core. This is new. I had a little bit of trouble with this yesterday, which is why I had to have my bacon saved by Sharo. Thank you, Sharo. But go with the default here, because this is the way forward. This is the new way they're doing it. We'll get it all figured out, but just go with default. And default for caching. Oh my gosh. And default for not doing anything experimental. There we go. Now we're going to say install. So click install, and then it should go. Mine's going to look a little bit different because I'm in use right now, so it's not going to let me do it. But just click install. It will take just a few moments. Tell me when you all get done. So give me a green yes when your install is finished. Okay. Excellent. So give me a green. And if you've already had previously installed Git, go ahead and give me a green yes. Meaning you haven't done any of this because you already have it installed. So give me a green yes. Yep, perfect. Yep, Chris, if you could go ahead and just give me a green yes, then what I'm going to do is when I get almost all the people with green yeses, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Yeah, I guess really the short answer I could have given was like, don't check anything, just click default for everything. Okay. Excellent. And yes, absolutely, we're going to be going through the Mac OS method too right after this. Yep, go ahead and complete Git setup. Oh, yes, I didn't get that, but just stick with defaults, Adrian. And you can unmute if you need to explain a little bit more. Okay, go and give a green check if you have finished the install. Give me a red check if you're not able to complete the install for some reason.
Should I check view release notes or launch Git Patch?
I wouldn't do either, actually. I would just sort of say no to both of those and finish.
No to both of those.
Yep, and then just finish. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you're fine. We're going to actually be starting up and seeing how to start up Git Bash on Windows in just a minute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give me a red X if you were not able to. Oh, I guess then some people are on Mac. Yeah, so that's why I'm not seeing everybody. Duh. All right. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to open up a Git window, a Git Bash window here, and then we're going to sit there, and then we're going to let the Mac folks do theirs. Okay. So let's. So I'm going to open up a navigator window. You know you can do Windows Command E, and that opens up what's called the File Explorer. So Windows Command E opens up your File Explorer. I know that all of my stuff is it's in my documents, and I have something that I call projects. So that's where I put all my stuff. So I'm going to put projects right here. I'm going to go into projects. Actually, sorry, let me do this. So I have documents. I did Windows Command E to get my Windows Explorer, my File Explorer. Then I went into documents. I created something that's called projects, but you can put it anywhere. Right click on a folder, and now it should say Git Bash here. Let me clear all the responses. Give me a green check if when you right click on a folder, and you can even right click directly on documents if you want to. If you just want to have this on your documents, that's fine. Give me a green check if you see Git Bash here. Excellent. All right, give me a red X if you didn't see that. Okay. So we might need to, we might have to handle that a little bit later. Most people got it. Okay, good. Git bash here, and you can go and click on Git bash here. Go and click on that. And then what you see is this. This is how we're going to be interacting with Git. So this is where we're going to do everything that we need to do on the command line. Now let's see how we get to this point if we're on a Mac. So I'm going to stop my share. And Charles, if you would care to sort of take people through how you get there on a Mac.
All right, that sounds great. And so y'all hang in there with me. I don't always use this Mac. I usually sit more on Windows. So just hang in there with me if you see me do anything weird. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm just going to share this desktop. Oh, I don't know what that is. What's that? And so the way that you can do this with a Mac is to actually go over to this terminal, and note that your bar here may be at the bottom. I just tend to like this to be on the left, so I put it here. And so this black thing with like a prompt is actually the terminal, and you can see when I scroll over it says terminal. If you don't have that over there, you can also type command space to bring up Spotlight, and then just start typing terminal. So there you go. That's another way that you can access it.
Can you give a green check if you are on Mac and if you can get to your terminal now? And give a red X if you are on Mac and you have not been able to get to your terminal.
All right, no terminal for some people. Interesting.
And we'll get, and we might have to catch up a little bit later. Let me see here.
Yeah.
Oh, it kind of went away. I think we're good now. All right.
Okay, that sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and click terminal. And you can see that the world's smallest text pops up here. Clearly, I don't know why I just keep doing this to myself. Anyways, we're just going to let that be what it is. And I will tell you what to type. So the setup here is actually pretty expedited. And what you can do is type git, G-I-T, and then -- version. So this is a version flag for Git. And so when I press enter, Git actually tells me something. It says, hey, by the way, you already have Git installed. So if that didn't work for you, that means you don't have Git installed, and it should prompt you to follow another set of steps. So who put up a, I guess a red X if it prompted you to do another set of steps?
Yeah, so I got onto the terminal, used Git version, and it says the Git command requires the new command line developer tools, and it says you use Xcode from the App Store, which I don't think I want to do. I think you're supposed to have a set of instructions that said you could do it via binary installer for a more up-to-date version.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can also, so in the Git SCM installation instructions that Jesse sent out, you can also use the binary installer. So thank you for bringing that up as well. Xcode. So this is just a development IDE for coding. And it is, I actually kind of like it a lot. But you definitely do not have to install that if you're uncomfortable with that. Also, it should just be the command line tools. But if you don't want to install that, that's completely fine. It may be instructive to download the binary as well.
All right.
Oh, I installed it, but can't.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Yeah, so mine says invalid active developer path, and then it says library developer command line tools, and then missing XC run at library/developer/command line tools /usr/bin/xc run, and then it has like MacBook Air and then my username $, and then it seems like it's another set of instructions. So I'm not sure if that's what it means to have to download it.
Yeah, those errors are never very helpful, are they? So what this means is for this workshop, you can follow along, and then we'll troubleshoot with TAs to get it installed. So there are a couple of different ways. So follow along now. What it comes down to is that the screen that you're going to see is going to be once you're installed, the command line looks the same between Windows, pretty much between Windows and Mac, and the commands are exactly the same. So don't worry if you can't get it installed right now. Not a problem. Follow along, understand what's happening. You'll be able to get it installed a little bit later on today or before our extra session on Friday if you want to participate in that. So you'll be good because remember, this is going to be recorded and you'll be able to follow these instructions all the way. Okay?
Okay, and yeah, I was also just looking at the download for Mac on the website link, and then it has stuff like Homebrew and Xcode and Binary installer. So I'm not sure if I should use those. Like which one would be preferable?
Yeah, we'll have some suggestions on that as well, and we can share those as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it sounds like that error that you got sounds like you may have already installed like the command line tools before, and then it updated and it moved your command line tools, which also happened to me. And so you may just have to go to the App Store and install Xcode again. So that could be a possibility, but I would suggest following along with the workshop and then kind of remedying that later, as Jesse said.
Yep,
okay.
Absolutely. Yep. I love Mac updates. Mac updates are cool. You get all this cool new stuff. And every once in a while, they'll decide to say, hey, we're going to change where Xcode tools are, and it's a real pain. And that's why you need a little bit more time to sort of figure it out. That's why we're not going to try to figure it out right now. All right. Thank you very much. All right, then let's go ahead and take a look. Just to remind you where we got to. So we got to this point, and let's get to this point again, okay? So I'm going to do all windows, but remember that the equivalent on Mac is to open a terminal window. But what I did, so I downloaded my Git, then I did my Windows key E, and that opens up File Explorer. And then from here, I'm able to right-click on any directory and say Git Bash here. Then that gets me to essentially a terminal window. To get in a terminal window on the Mac, all you need to do is hit that. Is it Command space? Is that what it is? You click on the dark box or Command space, just the two keys together and then it opens up the spotlight and you type in terminal. And then you're here. Okay, great. Do you all remember yesterday when we were talking? When you're starting a project, what's a good place to start? What's the first thing you might want to do when you start a project? Yep, sort of naming, yeah. Where do you start taking your notes down? Aaron, yes, exactly. That's it. Aaron, Sam, Matt. Yeah, so Matt, where do you save it? You save all the stuff in your repository. So that's kind of where you start. So let's do that. I would like to, for us to think for just a minute, and you can share in the chat. Think of a project that you would like to do that you're working on right now. So think of a project that you would like to start working on. And let's go ahead and create a repo around it. So, but first let's think. I'm just going to call on a few people. Amy, Do you have a project in mind, Amy? Oh my gosh, Amy, I realize I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Reef or Rife? Reef?
Yeah, it's Reef. Yeah.
Okay, goodness. Do you have a project in mind that you might want to sort of create a repo for?
Totally. For my SRP project, it'll probably be something along the lines of image analysis, like artifact image analysis.
Okay, so you want to have sort of like a short name for your project. So what do you think you might call it? I know, really putting you on the spot.
Maybe just something along the lines of like micro debitage imaging. I don't know, something like that.
That's great. No, that's great, actually. Micro debitage image, that works. Let's see. Andrew, what do you think you might create a project around?
Yeah, I was also going to do my SRP project, and that I'd probably name something like lung cancer screening.
Okay. Fantastic. I like that. Anyone else? Anyone else want to volunteer a project that you might have in mind? All right. Aiden, what are you thinking?
I know I'll be working with reading a lot of pre-existing literature and trying to compile data from those different pieces to analyze together.
Yeah, so it might be, and what area is that? What's the research?
So this will relate to, as of now, I'm looking a bit more at sort of demographic information for people who are enrolled in different ICU studies.
Perfect. So you could do meta ICU, meta-ICU. So the idea is, yeah, one of the first things you have to do is sort of think about what you might call it. You want it to be short. Let's go and create one. I'm going to go to, so all you got to do is go to your browser, and then you can go to GitHub. So github.com. And if you don't already have a login, go ahead and create a login. It will only take you a moment. So you should have, I have a bunch of stuff going on my repos, but I'm just gonna, again, there's a nice green button if you've logged in, which says new. So take a moment. If you don't have a GitHub login, go and create one. How many people see something like this where you have like a new button for repositories? Give me a green check, a green yes. Okay. Excellent. Okay, very, very, very good. All right. And give me a red X. I just want to keep track of how many, if you're not able to start up GitHub, okay. Again, you'll be able to watch on the recording. If you need to create a login, go and create one now. Let me go ahead and follow along with the recording, and then right after you'll be able to catch up with, and then you'll be able to catch up with TAs afterwards to get you all caught up. All right, so here I've gone into GitHub, I signed in. I'm going to click New Repository. So here's where I have to think of the name. So this might be, micro debitage image, something like that. In this case, I'm really interested in I'm interested in exploring voice with transformers, a type of deep learning model. So I'm going to call mine voice transformers, and my description is going to be explore using transformer models on voice wave files. So something that kind of makes sense. I'm going to make mine public. And here's an important part. You always want to include the README file. So you want to name it, say public, add README. I'm going to leave these blank for right now. Remember, I mentioned a little bit before about including a license, but this one's just for play. So I'm not going to add a license right now. Go and give me a green check again when you're at this point and you're ready to hit create repository. Excellent. All right. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's click the create repository. Right, now we have our repository. Now, let's say that someone's talking to you right now, about a project. It's kind of like, so graduate students, this will commonly happen when your advisor or your research mentor walks into the room, says, I have an idea. And they're never slow, right? They immediately jump into it. So you create the repo real quickly. You're here in the README. Notice this little green pencil right here. You can very quickly click that and then start taking notes right now. Frantically taking notes. So you can take notes right here, or if you can be a little more leisurely, remember with a README, you'd like to have all the context around. So it's not a bad place to sort of put all the context, all the thoughts, things like that. We're just using it to get a start here. Remember, we talked about all the different things that you have available to you within GitHub, but for right now, we're interested just in sort of editing the README a little bit. And that's the project idea. Great. And then remember down here, we have this commit changes. What's the phrase I should use to keep in mind? To write a good message to describe what this change was concerning. Yes, with this, fantastic. With this commit I, that's right. Noah, absolutely right. Noah, Aaron, there you go. So with this commit I, hey, start project. That's what I did. I took my initial notes. I started the project. And I'm going to keep all the defaults, and I'm just going to click commit changes. Give me a green check if you are here. And so what I want you to have done, of course, was create something. Go ahead and put some notes, some real kind of notes. Doesn't have to be very extensive in the README. And then get to this point, make a message, and you're ready to click commit changes. Give me a green check if you're ready to commit changes. Fantastic. All right, we're going to commit changes. One thing which happens here is this puts you into a slightly different screen than where we were before. You'll notice that I'm actually sort of sitting in README. So that's why the screen looks different. It's like all ready for me to edit again. You saw the notes that I have there. I don't necessarily want to be here. I want to be back up here. So click on the name of your repo, whatever your name of your repo is. Go ahead and click on it. Now this is what we had before. So this always brings you to that top level of the repo. Just know that when you edit your README, it sort of puts you sort of down a little bit, but if you click the name of the repo, it always puts you up at the top. So give me a green check if you see the green code button here, and if it looks kind of like this. Excellent. All right, so I have a question for you all. Where is this? Where is my work right now? Is my work on my local computer, or is it only on the web? Or is it both? Yeah. Yeah, it's on the web, only on the web. If I want to take this repository, because I have this repository sitting on GitHub, and I want to make it local, because I want to be able to work on my local machine. Anybody remember what that command is called? Ooh, yeah, okay, so Mafe, right. Yes, it's git clone. Mateo, almost, right? You do a pull once you already have that connection, once they're already talking. But down here in the local, we got nothing right now. So instead, what you do for the very first time is a clone. Okay. Where do I run the git clone command? Do I run that on the web someplace, or do I need to run that on my local machine? Yeah, clone means go up here to this thing on the web and copy it back down here for me. And I've got to run that from where I want to have the clone. This is where Git comes in. Up here, we are all in GitHub. Now what we're asking for Git to do is to communicate with GitHub, get a copy of that repository, bring it local, and then make things happen. So let's do that. But I need a piece of information because I need to know where this repository is stored. Any guess about what I need to click in order to copy my code down? The big green button is always a good guess. Yep, so I click it and it's set to do a clone. And this is what it says: use Git or Git checkout with SVN using the web URL. What this means is copy this thing, give it to Git. So we're going to copy this. It says copied. And now what we're going to do is we're going to return, I'm just doing an Alt Tab, to return to my handy window right here. And let's see if I can make this. Oh, that was not smart. Let me see if I can make this. That's the wrong one. Not that one. I want this one. Yes. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. Is it under options? Yeah, I'm going to see if I can make this bigger. I'm going to make this 14. Apply. Okay, good. Yep. Okay, great. So anybody remember what the command is? Somebody had it before. Do I just say clone? Ah, that's right. I've got to say git clone. Clone is a command, but it's a git command. And I've got to tell bash, I've got to tell this command line, I'm doing git. What do I want to do in Git? I want to do a clone. And then I have to tell clone where to get it. Where do I get it from? I'm going to hit space. In Windows, I right click and paste. And I think in Mac, you do a Command V to paste in. Whatever you do to paste in Mac, you do that. So now let's read this. Git, please clone this repository. So I'm going to run it. And this is where it did not work for me yesterday. So I run it and look at what, let's take a look at what it's doing. It says remote, enumerating objects. So it's going up to the repository up there. It's talking to the repository saying, okay, how many things you got? How many things did I move down? Okay, great. Take them down, create a subdirectory, decompress these things, do stuff, then unpack it and recreate that repository that was up here down here. Now notice I'm still in documents. So I'm not in the repository yet. You can type ls, and that will give you a listing of all the directories you have here. Notice that I have a directory now, which should be called, oh gosh, what did I call it? Voice transformers. So let me go into voice transformers. The way you do that is you do CD. CD stands for change directory. And you start typing voice and just hit tab. Type a few letters, hit tab, and it will complete it for you. So CD, change directory, voice transformer. Give me a green check if you're at this point and you're ready to go CD into whatever your project was called. Green check if you're at this point, you're ready to go into this that subdirectory.
Actually, Jesse, I'm just gonna go. It's getting a little difficult to install it on the Mac that I have right now. So I'm gonna go on my Windows desktop and try to follow along from that point.
Perfect.
It's an executable file. Is that how I should save the file and then just follow the instructions to install it?
Yes, and we'll get into the details after. I might be able to stick around for a little bit for those who have technical questions. Let me check my calendar real quickly. No, of course, but you'll be able to talk with your TAs. All right, so we lost a few folks. Remember, we have the recording. You'll be able to follow along, okay? I'm getting into my subdirectory. I'm getting into voice transformers. Notice that it says up here that I'm in Vanderbilt Documents Voice Transformers now. Okay, Amaya, yeah, we'll do some troubleshooting with you after. So watch the recording, not a problem. Okay, help me code here. I want to sort of see what the situation is. What's the git command I use a lot just to figure out where I am and what I might need to do next? Git status, that's right, absolutely. It is your best friend, so type git status. That's really just a quick way, and what you're doing is you're asking Git, please check the repository and see if anything is amiss, or give me a hint about what I might need to do next. It says, hey, everything's copacetic. You're on the main branch. We'll talk a little bit about what that means in just a little bit. Your branch is up to date. Actually, it should be. I just did the clone. I haven't done anything yet. Nothing to commit. Your working tree is clean, meaning it's not keeping track of anything that I need to do. Great, so we're good to go. So we started out with the repo up here. We created the repo using GitHub. Then we copied down the location of it using that code, the green button, and it told us where the location of that repository was. We came here down to Windows or to a terminal, and we gave the command git clone, and then we pasted in that location that we'd gotten from up here. Git took care of everything for us. It created a subdirectory, it moved that repository in, it replayed that repository and created all the files. Let's go and take a look and see what's in here. So I'm going to do an ls. Look, there's the README. Any file which is being tracked, which is in that any file which is in that repository will appear locally. It replays all the different commits that you've made, so you can get copied up here, down here. I'm going to get to the subdirectory using my Windows. I want to show you that it's exactly the same thing as it's just regular old files. So I'm going to do, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to open up my, remember I can open up my Windows Explorer by doing Windows Command E. So I'm just opening up my file browser here. What is the equivalent command in Mac? I always forget for opening up the file browser. Is it Explorer? No. Okay. Sorry about that. So I'm going to go into Documents and see it's just a regular folder. I created the regular folder. I'm going to double click on it, and it has README in there. I'm going to go ahead and edit README, and I'm going to be able to open it with Notepad++. With you might need to open it with Notepad. That's fine too. And the main point is this is just a regular old. This is just a regular. Oops. Yeah. Let me fix this. It's just everything that I typed before. So I'm going to add a line. Some more notes. And then I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to go ahead and close Notepad++. Now let me just show you how you can do this. Let's say that you want to do this with Notepad or any other editor. So On Windows, you can hit the Windows command and start typing what you want to use. So I'm going to be using Notepad. And then Notepad says, okay, what do you want to edit? So I can go to File, Open. Remember, I'm in Documents. Here's my voice transformers. And I'm going to say Edit All Files. And there's my README again. It's just a regular old file. And it's just really, it's a text file, but it has the .md extension means called Markdown. We might talk about that later. So it's just readme.md, double click on it, and hey, it's just a text file. Okay. All right. So again, I've already made an edit here. Just wanted to show you that this is just a regular file that you can edit in a regular directory, but there's also a hidden file in here that's keeping track of everything. So I'm going to close that. Let's go back to I'm going to do an Alt-Tab. I'm just going to go back to the shell. I'm going to go back to the terminal. And let's do a Git status again. Okay. Let's do Git status. Ooh, it noticed a couple of things. Changes not staged for commit. Can someone describe to me what that means? Changes not staged for commit. Have I saved the file? Give me a thumbs up. Did I save the file? I did, right? I hit a Control S, right? So thumbs up, I saved the file. Okay. Have I told Git that I'm interested in having that in the repo, that change in the repo? Did I do that yet? No. How do I tell Git that the next time I make a commit, I want to include those changes in the repository? What's the command I give? That's it. It's not been committed. It's not been staged. So how, oh, there we go, Git Add. I need to do a Git Add. As a matter of fact, if I'd only calmed down a little bit and looked a little bit more closely, Git Status would have told me this, right? It said, okay, change is not staged for commit. So I've modified README, and it says use Git Add the file to update and what will be committed. Okay, great. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do Git Add. That's the command, add. And I'm going to do README. Remember, I can do the tab. And it will tab complete for me. Git Add README. And then I'm going to do a Git Status. Okay. So now it tells me that changes to be committed. So it tells me README was the README.md file was modified. It's added to the stage. Now I can make a commit. Okay. So let me go ahead and what command do I give? I'll start with Git. What comes next? How do I include this change into the local repo? Git commit, that's it. And then I want to do a message. So I'm going to do a -m message. With this commit, I demonstrate local editing. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Can somebody tell me where that number came from? What is that number? Yeah, this is that fingerprint, right? That thumbprint for the file. It took a fingerprint of the readme.md as it existed after the change, created a long, what's called a hash. It created a long number that represented that. And this is just the last 7 or the first, I always forget. It's the first or the last 7 digits of that entire hash. And it's like its short name. It's like Jess versus Jesse Spencer Smith. So it's just the short name for it, but it's unique. And so what this is telling you, hey, this is the name of the commit that you just made. It's committed to main. What happened was one file changed. You had 2 insertions. So I had a return and then I added a line. Okay. So now, have I made these changes locally? Have I made these changes up on the web? Where have I made the changes? Yeah, it's only locally. So what I want to do is I want to have my local repo now communicate with that remote repo. What's the command that I use? It's git something. I want to move those changes up. Yeah, I want to do a git push. Do I need to add anything else? Let's find out. Impede work. Oh, goodness. So I do a git push, and then it will appear up there, although I might be having some an issue here. There are a few issues with the new Git credentialing, which is a bit unfortunate. All right, but now we've sort of gone almost a full cycle. So we git push main, that might do it, but it should have been understood for that. I think this is a credential problem. I'm not going to try to troubleshoot it right now. All right, so we've gone almost through a full cycle. The other part of the cycle would be to do a pull, and then you can have the 2 communicate to each other. This is generally how it works. Let me ask you though. So let's go ahead and go back to that drawing that we used before. And let's think through what can go wrong. Where are you? There we go. Okay, great. So let's go back to the drawing that we had before. So we have in a moment, we'll practice labeling this. So we started out with the remote repo. We did a clone. It moved everything down. It instantiated our workspace. I made some changes in the workspace, and then I staged what I did, and then I did a commit, then I did a push. Next, I'll be able to do a pull. If other people are working on this as well, so let's say that I have somebody else who is who's working on this. So let's say that they themselves are doing pushes and pulls on the same repository. What are some things that can go wrong? Let's say that they're working on Readme and I'm working on Readme. They changed line number 3 and I changed line number 3. Who wins? Does their writing win? Does my writing win? Is there any completely automatic way to do this, to know who's right? Can the software know who's right in this case? Let me give you a couple of scenarios, okay? I'm working on a Readme file. I'm changing line number 3, and I'm kind of guessing at what's supposed to be on line number 3. The other person who's working on this is an absolute expert in the field. They know what they're doing. They also replaced line number 3. Whose line should go into the README? Mine or the experts? What do you think? Go and put in chat. Yeah, I'm thinking it should be the experts. I'm guessing. Therefore, the expert, right? Okay, let's change the situation. I'm editing line 3 of the README. Another person is editing line 3 of the repo. The other person editing line 3 of the repo is my 8-year-old daughter, who has been following along and kind of, learning about, and she's playing. Whereas this README is actually my research project. So now should it be the other person whose line 3 gets put in, or should it be my line 3 that gets put in? Should it be mine or hers? Yeah, it should be mine, right? So it's all contextual. There's no way that the software could or should say it's always the other person or it's always you. You can't know a priori. You can't know before who should win in that case. So in that case, we have what's called a merge conflict. So merge conflict means, hey, you are both editing the same thing. And what Git will do is to show to you where that error is and what that error looks like. It does so in a very systematic kind of way, but you have to learn how to parse what's going on. So, Shara, would you mind if we went ahead and tried that out? Can I make you one of the other contributors on my README?
I may have to jump over to my other computer because this computer has different Git credentials.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine though. You can just tell me which. We'll do it all up on the web.
I would love to. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Yeah. So here we're in the situation. Keep in mind what the situation is. Hey, we're both working on this repo. We're both editing the same file. We have a problem. Who wins? So let me go ahead and clear all the drawings here, and let me close that. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to go back up to where we had the repo before. If I can find where the repo is. Okay, yes, here we go. Voice transformers. Okay, the first thing I have to do, and you're gonna have a chance to do this all together on Friday. On Friday between 12 and 1, I'll be sending out the information just a little bit. You can practice this together. We'll be doing this all together, but for now you can just watch. So I'm gonna add Sharo to my repository. Nope, I've got to open one password. So I'm going to add Charo to my repo. I'm going to invite a collaborator. So just be clear, I started up way up here. I want to add her as a collaborator. So I go to Settings, Manage Access. It may very well ask me for my credentials again. I just have to type in again, invite collaborator. What is your GitHub username?
It is csbell-vu.
There you are. Add csbell-vu to this repository. So now you are a collaborator here, pending invite, and I can send you the. You should get an email, but I will just message this to you real quickly so you can get to it. All right. So I'm going to go up to transformers again, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and just edit the README, edit that, that second line in the README. We're both going to do this is, I'm going to say, this version is Jesse's. And if on yours, you can just write this version is Sharo's. And you go ahead and do an edit and go ahead and do a commit real quick. And then I'll try to do a commit after you. So here's a situation. We're both editing the README file. I'm still working on mine. Sharo is going to go in and she's already going to have edited it. So when I try to do my commit, it's going to say, somebody's already made a change here. Who wins? And we're going to see what that looks like.
And I am just going to take 1 second and mosey on over to my Outlook and accept this invitation.
Okay, great.
All right. Sorry, you're going to hear all the good things that are happening. My email. Oh, let's see. Let's just make sure. Oh, and I see the invitation in my email and I accept. Perfect. Accept invitation. Perfect. Great, great. All right. And would you like me to share my screen while
Sure,
I do?
share your screen? Yes, absolutely. That'd be perfect. And then we'll come back to mine after that.
Okay, let's share the screen. Let's see, go ahead and share. All right, there we go. And now, so before I accepted the invite, I actually didn't have this little pencil. The pencil means that I'm able to edit this. And so here I'm going to edit line number 2. And I'm going to
right above explore, put it right above explore using transformers. Just and you can put this is Sharo's version.
All right, perfect.
Then you can go down and do a commit and
Added information about yes. All right, and now I will commit directly to the main branch and big green button, click.
great.
Oh,
Right,
and now it's
and you can see where it's actually there. This is Sharo's version. Yay. Okay, accept. So here I am. I'm still working on mine. I'm done now. So I'm going to say this is this version is Jesse's. I'm going to say with this commit, I claim line 2 for Jesse. With this commit, I do something. Commit directly to the main branch. Okay, great. Yay, all done. Whoa. CSBelVU has committed since you started editing. So that means I can't do anything with that. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. Am I going to cancel my changes? What exactly am I going to do? It has a suggestion here, see what changed. So I'm going to click see what changed. So this is Sharo's version. Look at this. This is the base. This is the comparison. These are the fingerprints. These are the names, the full names of those commits. And this is describing to you what has happened between the two. So a couple of things here. This is really messy, right? 2 people editing the same file. It's a lot of process to figure out who goes where and what wins. It turns out that committing to main is actually not necessarily a good idea for everybody to be doing at the same time. Instead, there's a capability that Git has that we need to take advantage of to make this type of collaboration when we might be stepping on each other's toes easier. And it's called branching. And the idea here is that instead of working on the repository, let's say that you're local, instead of working on the repository, you can work on sort of a shadow version. So it's still within the repository, but you're working on what's called a different branch. And I can do all this work until I'm ready to go, because I don't want to have to keep on managing these collisions every time I make a commit. Instead, I want to manage all of these when I've done a whole block of work. So how do I sort of have a clean version that I can work on? Well, I do what's called a branch. So I'm going to take the version of the repository as it exists at some point, at the current point. I'm going to make sort of a shadow copy. I'm going to work on that one. I'm going to make all the commits I need to do. I don't have to worry about anybody else working on that because it's my branch. Then when I'm ready, I'm going to let everybody else know that I'm done. And that's called a pull request. So I'm going to be done with my work. I'm going to say, hey, I'm done. Would you all look at my work and see if it is ready to be merged in? Then somebody gets to be the decider. See, with this, as it is right now, I'm going to have to call Sharo, or I'm going to have to get with her on Slack. I'm going to say, I thought I was doing line 2. And she's going to say, I thought I was doing line 2. And we're going to have to work it out. And then one of us is going to decide, okay, I'll change it. I'll fix it. And so it all works together. Turns out there's a process that you can do all of this in a more reasonable fashion and figure out, for the particular context that you had, who should be deciding which goes where. And it's called GitHub Flow. GitHub Flow uses that idea of being able to make a branch. It uses the idea of being able to inform other people what's called a pull request. The pull says, hey, I would like to have this pulled, all my work pulled into main now. I want to have this branch closed out. I want to pull everything into main. And it's a reasoned way to do this. That's what we're going to be diving more into on Friday. But I want to give you now a high-level view of what that looks like. And then what we'll be able to do on Friday, and again, we'll record that one as well, is you'll actually see what this looks like in process, and you'll be able to practice this with other people as well. Turns out GitHub Flow works really well for making Git and GitHub work for teams, but you have to practice. It's not something that comes natural. You have to practice it just a little bit. So let me go and pull up GitHub Flow introduction. So GitHub Flow was actually made by GitHub. There are lots of different ways that people use Git and people use GitHub. GitHub Flow is just one of the ways that you can work with it. But just like we did with Git, let's start with the conceptual, and then on Friday we'll get into the more of the hands-on. All right. So here we have the repo as it originally existed. I know that I'm going to need to do a whole bunch of work. I don't want to have to worry about having collisions with other people's work. So at this point, I'm going to do what's called create a branch. We're going to be going over exactly what these commands are, but we're going to be doing this. We're going to be creating a branch. Now I'm safe. In this branch, I can do whatever work I need to do. So I create the branch, then, and you can think of other work happening at the same time, right? Other people can branch off of this for their own work. That's fine. I'm going to deal with all those conflicts later. This is my branch, so I'm going to create a branch. I'm going to add commits, so I'm doing my work. Like I change my edits, I edit my Readme, I edit my files, I do my stage, I do my commits, I'll do my pushes, I'll do my pulls. None of those are conflicting because those are all on my own branch. So I'm able to do that full cycle knowing that I'm not going to have a merge conflict anywhere. I'm fine. Then I open a pull request. I think I'm done, or I want to have a conversation about my work. Did I do line 2 right? Did I do this correctly? So a pull request is a way to communicate with other people on your team, other people in your repository that you're ready to do work. And there's a question from Zoe, is GitLab a similar alternative to GitHub Flow? GitLab is a different GitHub. So GitLab, remember I said that Git can work with lots of different things. Git could work with GitHub. Git can work with GitLab. Git can also work with even, other tools now as well. GitLab has a similar kind of thing, a GitHub Flow kind of an approach, but it's not exactly GitHub Flow, but there are similar approaches. Think of GitHub Flow as just an agreed upon process. So one of the agreed upon things here is, I'm doing my work here. I'm not going to keep this branch open for very long. So let me ask you this. I open a branch. Other people are continuing their work here. They're doing commits. They might be doing merges in here. That means there's a whole lot of work. The code is changing all along here. Other people are adding to code. What's bad about my keeping my branch open for weeks and weeks and months, and then much later saying, hey, I'm ready to merge it in? What can happen? My work is out of date. So that means the code, as I started to work on it, has changed, right? So now that original version of the code is much, much different. Does it get easier, harder, or is it no different if I wait a long time versus wait a short amount of time before I try to merge that code in? So if I wait a long time, yeah, short is easy. Yeah, it's harder the longer you wait. The longer you wait. I think you're absolutely right. Miguel, Aaron, Lori, Elijah, absolutely. The longer you wait, the more conflicts you're likely to have. So one of the tenets of GitHub Flow is, yes, use this branching thing that we're going to practice on Friday and all the recording. Keep them short. So yeah, do a branch, but keep the work short. The other tenet idea behind this is you open a pull request. You discuss about your work. You don't just go off to a corner and do your own work. You do your work and you say, I had this idea, I'm doing this thing. A pull request can be just to have conversation about your branch. Because what can happen is other people can open up your branch and look. So you can say, I think I did this right. Could you look and tell? So by opening a pull request, it gives them a window into your work and they can look and help you out. Or you can open a pull request and say, I think I'm done. Can someone check me? So if I'm working with Sharo and I know that she knows the code better than I do, I'm going to tag her. I'm going to say, Sharo, I've opened a pull request. I've tagged you on it. Could you review my code? And if it's okay, can you go ahead, review it with me, discuss it with me, and merge it in for me? And that means we've already agreed, we've hashed everything out. Now we understand who that's supposed to be doing line 2, except it's going to be a lot more work than that probably. And now all the code is nice and back in sync. That's the purpose of a branch. And that's how you think about GitHub Flow. I'm going to take all the code as it exists right now. I'm going to make my shadow copy. I'm going to work on that for a little bit. And as quickly as possible, I'm going to return that so we can all agree how it's supposed to all merge together. Mafe.
What happens if your pull request is denied? Like what happened with your branch in that case? Do you have to pull again, like the changes from other people, like the agreed upon marriage, or what's the status of your branch then?
Yeah. It means in this point, let's go back to the conversation. During this conversation, someone may say, Jesse, it might have been a little while since you've coded. I know that it has. Do you know this thing called a list comprehension? You probably shouldn't have a for loop here. We've been trying to use list comprehensions. And I'll say, yeah, I kind of forgot about it. Can you remind me? And I might refactor my code a little bit. Or it could be something a lot more serious. And it could be, when we solve this other problem, since you created your branch, we don't need this approach anymore. So we don't need the work anymore. In which case I'll say, oh, okay. And I delete my branch. I never merge it in. No, the worst case is you have done really incredible stuff. It has been 4 months since you created this branch, and it is so hard to include now, I don't know if we can. In which case you're gonna have to figure out something completely else because no one's gonna want to merge that thing. It's been out way too long. So Go create another branch, copy and paste, ugly. Copy and paste your code, but make it work with here. You kind of have to start over. Take your ideas, but make it work. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to have to delete my branch. GitHub Flow keeps you from having to do that because the idea is, hey, keep the branch short, open that pull request, have that conversation, get it merged back in quickly. Does that answer your question, Mafe?
Yes, and once the branch is merged, it disappeared, I guess, right? Or is it?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. So sometimes people leave the branches there even if they're merged. But it's just taking up space. Once it's merged, you're done. So once it's merged, you might as well delete it. It's good hygiene to go ahead and just delete that, because all of those commits that you made that's actually what's happening. So I've made all these commits, right? And what's happening when you do a merge is it is adding all of those commits into that main line, that main branch, shuffling them all in where they belong, and you're sort of handling all the merge conflicts. So they all exist there. All the messages you had, all the code changes that you had, they're all there. So what's the purpose of keeping the branch at that point? There's no reason to keep that branch. So it's better to delete the branch. Excellent. Other questions? Oh, I see Adam. I see that I triggered you a little bit with the conversation about the code, not being able to use it anymore. Aiden, yes.
Is it possible to merge only parts of the code that you have on a branch, or could you only do an all or nothing?
Oh, God. The way you would do that is that you would actually deal on the commit level. This is where Git gets a little bit more involved. We have some resources on this. I have a great comic book on this. The comic book is great. I love it's the best zine for complex topics that I've ever seen. So I'll share the comic book with you. It's a comic book. The way that you do that is that you deal at the commit level. So let's say that in this conversation, and let's go back, just rewind everything. Way back here, you decided to do some work. You created a branch. We'll talk about how to do that on Friday. Created your branch. You did a whole bunch of commits. You had a conversation. You opened a pull request to have the conversation. You have the conversation. Somebody says, this part that you did right here, yeah, no. You need to not do that part. You can go and remove a particular commit, right? So you can remove a commit so you keep all the stuff that you did here. You get to keep all the stuff that you did here, but it removes the stuff that you did here. It's a little bit more involved, but absolutely you can do that. And then once you do that, you continue the conversation, say, I've removed that. They say, great, it's ready to go. I'm going to merge it. Does it make sense? And you're still muted, Hayden. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So now you begin to see why with those commits, you really want to label them well. Because let's say that we're back here in this conversation, right? And Sharo is saying to me, this is good, but we don't need this part anymore. That's been so I'll merge it in, but can you just, we don't need that whole kind of book of work right in the middle. I can go through my commits and I can see which ones had to do with that work. So let's say that it had to do with user authentication. And Sharo says, you know what, we did user authentication a very different way. Go back to the way it was before. I'll say, okay. And I look for the commit that says, with this commit, I set up user authentication. Like, this one. So I want that commit to go away. So just by making that commit go away, I make all the work having to do with setting up user authentication go away. That's why those messages are important. Other questions? Okay. And I keep on saying, I'll tell you in a little bit what that command is. Let's go to our cheat sheet. Here are all the commands. So we know git clone. Git init is if you want to create this without a remote. I usually just do git clone. With the branches, and this has changed just a little bit since this time, but this will work as well. You can create a new branch using something called git checkout -b new branch name. and we'll practice this. This is how you do your staging. This is how you push. This is how you update. So really just a few commands. But what you have to sort of keep straight is this part. What's happening? What's happening with the branches, when you need to make branches, and what you use them for. So we'll practice all of that on the new Friday workshop. Again, we'll have a recording for that if you're not available during that time. What questions do you have? Let me take a vote. How many of you are going to be working on some projects over this summer, which are going to have multiple contributors to the code? Give me a thumbs up. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. 13. Yeah. 14. Yeah. A lot of people. So excellent. So let me go ahead and give you, I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to strongly suggest that you review this and that you make time for the Friday session. So I'm going to send you a link for a Friday session, Friday hands-on GitHub Flow. GitHub Flow. I'm going to send you the Zoom link for it right now. So it's going to be this Friday from 12 to 1. And I'll put the Zoom link into the chat. And if you're not working on a team, doesn't really interest you, not a problem at all. We'll have recordings of it up on the website, so you can certainly do that. But know that that is here for you to practice, because you really do need to practice this stuff. Okay. Also, tomorrow we're having a workshop on collaborating with Python notebooks. It turns out these kinds of merge conflicts wreak havoc with Python notebooks. So if you are already programming Python, if you've already been programming in Python notebooks, especially if you've been trying to do this and use GitHub, then definitely come to this workshop. Otherwise, don't sweat it necessarily. You can come, you can listen in if you want to, but this is really we're gonna sort of jump right up here and say, okay, Python notebooks, here are the problems. On Friday, we're gonna have also another hands-on experience for GitHub Flow with Jupyter notebooks, because it's a little bit different. And that's gonna be from 1 to 2 p.m. We'll share that link tomorrow after the collaborating with Jupyter with Python notebooks. The Flows workshop is from 12 to 1. Let me go and put that in there. Yeah. So it's GitHub. It's going to be GitHub hands-on, on GitHub Flow, 12 to 1 on Friday. And then let me put the link for that again. Here you go. We'll have the recording. We'll post a recording on the YouTube channel. Remember, we'll post the recording for the YouTube for this as well. It usually takes until like early evening before it finally posts, but it will be up there and you can work through. You can work with your TAs or Google your problem if you're unable to get the Git installed and running, and then follow through once you have that. So what did we do today? We had hands-on practice of actually using command line Git to clone. We created a repo. We realized that the first thing you should probably do when you're starting any project is start with the repo. Start typing away in that Readme. Then when the person giving you the notes steps out of the room, go ahead and get the location of that. Go to your machine, go to Git Bash, do Git clone, paste in that location. That brings the remote repository local, and then you can begin your work. Then it's just a matter of doing pull, push, doing the add, commit, pull, push, all of that. It's just the merry-go-round that we've talked about at that point. If you need to work with others, you need to think about this a little bit more. So review the GitHub flow, because you want to have an agreed upon way. You know, okay, Shara, we're going to agree we're not going to keep our branches out for more than is absolutely necessary. We're going to agree that also that we're going to use issues as well. So one trick we haven't talked about, but we'll talk about on Friday, is you can mention your issues in your commit messages. So we'll talk about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to have an agreed upon process where we're going to merge. So it might always be Charo, it might always be Preston, or we might decide on an as needed basis who's going to make the call, who's going to merge that branch in. And we're going to try to all keep up to date and work in the same way. All right. Friday, we'll have an opportunity to do more hands-on between 12 and 1. Final questions in the last few minutes.
If people need to troubleshoot directly after this, can we stay on here? Or do we need to make another meeting?
Oh,
Yeah.
good question. You might need to make another meeting because I think this is, no, this is your meeting, Dr. Bell. So yes, you can keep this one. Miranda, I'm going to make you host.
Cool.
You are in charge from now on. Okay, so yes, this will stay open to do troubleshooting after. Great question. Any other questions? Give me a thumbs up if you think you're going to actually try and make a repo and do some work in the repo sometime in the next week. Thumbs up? I hope I got a lot of thumbs up. Are you going to try to actually use this for reals?
Possibly.
Oh, that makes me feel good. Excellent.
Possibly.
Excellent. Very good. Oh, I saw someone on the side. Here's the thing. The sooner you do it, the better. So even if it's a toy, I'd go ahead and make one because that will actually settle it and make it so you can remember and learn it much faster next time. So give it a shot. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. If you want to have more hands-on, remember you can join us again on Friday from 12 to 1. You have the information now. Know that tomorrow's workshop, which is beginning at 11:30, is going to be very much around Python notebooks. So if you're using Python, if you're already using Python notebooks, Jupyter notebooks, and especially if you're also plan on using that with Git, be there at the workshop. Otherwise, don't sweat it. You can watch the recording later. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Great questions. See you all later. And Miranda, you have the meeting, so you can help people do troubleshooting.